Your phone might be designed in one country. Its minerals can come from another. Its chip can be made somewhere else. Then it might travel through 3 more countries before reaching your pocket. Now here's the interesting question. What happens if most of the world agrees to cooperate on that entire tech chain? That is basically the giant version of what Pax Silica could become. And if it actually spreads across most of the planet, your next phone might be the least interesting thing it changes. Okay, first, what exactly is Pax Silica? Known fact, Pax Silica is a US-led international initiative launched in December 2025, focused on making supply chains for AI and advanced technology more secure and resilient. It covers things like critical minerals, energy, advanced manufacturing, semiconductors, data infrastructure, and AI. Basically, countries need a ridiculous number of things to build modern technology. No country has everything. So Pax Silica says, instead of depending too heavily on one place, let's build this stuff together. Think of it like making a pizza. One friend brings cheese, another brings dough, someone brings tomatoes, and one mysterious friend arrives with absolutely nothing, but still wants 3 slices.
Damn!
As of June 2026, the US State Department said Pax Silica had grown to 24 signatories, including the European Union as a participant. But our question is much bigger. What if eventually most countries joined? Let's start with the biggest possible benefit. Likely outcome. If most of the world joined Pax Silica, technology supply chains could become more spread out. And that matters because modern technology works like a giant relay race. One country might mine copper. Another might process minerals. Another builds chip-making equipment. Another manufactures chips. Another packages them. Another builds the servers. Another supplies electricity. And finally, your phone uses all of it so you can watch a cat fall off a sofa. Human civilization. Beautiful. Pax Silica officially focuses on coordinating these different parts of the technology chain, instead of allowing important supplies to become dangerously concentrated. Simple example. Suppose the world depends on one giant factory for an important chip. Factory breaks. Uh-oh. Now imagine 5 countries can make it. One factory breaks. Annoying. But the other 4 are still working. That is called resilience. Fancy word. Simple meaning, you have a backup plan. So if Pax Silica eventually included most of the world, one major effect could be a global technology system with many more backup routes. But would that automatically make everything cheaper? Nope. Here comes the annoying part. You walk into a store 5 years from now. Phone, available. Laptop, available. Game console, available. Car computer chip, available. Amazing! But cheaper? Maybe. Maybe not. Oh. More suppliers and fewer shortages could improve competition and availability. But building backup factories, new mines, power plants, ports, chip facilities, and data centers costs enormous amounts of money. So Pax Silica is not, everyone joins, electronics become 50% off. That would be lovely. Unfortunately, economics has once again refused to behave like a coupon. The more realistic benefit would be stability. Fewer situations where one broken link causes problems everywhere. Ordinary people might notice more reliable access to electronics, vehicles, cloud services, AI tools, and other products that depend on semiconductors. But prices would still depend on energy costs, labor, demand, competition, taxes, transportation, and a bunch of other things. So, more secure supply does not automatically mean cheap supply. Now things get interesting. If most of the world joined, does every country suddenly need a chip factory? No. That would be like every restaurant deciding it needs its own cow. Very ambitious. Extremely inconvenient. Instead, countries could specialize. Hypothetical scenario. Country A has minerals. Country B has cheap, clean electricity. Country C has advanced factories. Country D has great engineers. Country E has giant ports. Country F has land and infrastructure for data centers. Together, they build one supply chain. Pax Silica already describes cooperation spanning critical minerals, energy, manufacturing, semiconductors, and AI infrastructure. If participation became nearly worldwide, more countries could try to find their own useful position in that chain. For some places, that might mean new mines. Others might attract factories. Others could become logistics hubs. Some could focus on software, research, energy, chip packaging, or data centers. That could spread technology investment beyond today's biggest technology centers. But there is an important catch. Getting a factory does not automatically make a country technologically advanced. The bigger question is, does the country learn how to build higher value technology too? Because nobody wants their role in the global technology revolution to be, congratulations, you dig the hole. Could Pax Silica create more jobs? Probably in some places. A much larger Pax Silica network could encourage investment in mining, engineering, power generation, manufacturing, construction, ports, logistics, semiconductor production, and data infrastructure. The European Commission said joining Pax Silica is intended partly to create opportunities for businesses while strengthening technology supply chains. But jobs would not appear evenly everywhere. A semiconductor factory needs different workers than a copper mine. A data center needs different infrastructure than a port. So countries would probably compete to say, hey, build the expensive stuff here. And every government suddenly becomes that friend desperately trying to host the sleepover. We have electricity. We have engineers. We have snacks. Please come. And here is where the happy global technology story gets complicated. Because all those chips and AI systems are not made from friendship. They need physical stuff, minerals, factories, land, water, electricity, lots of electricity. The International Energy Agency says mineral development can directly affect ecosystems through land use change, habitat loss, water use, water contamination, and large amounts of mining waste. So, would Pax Silica itself destroy ecosystems? Not automatically. Pax Silica is a cooperation framework. It is not a giant mining machine roaming Earth. No, put that away. But if a larger Pax Silica causes countries to build more mines, processing facilities, semiconductor plants, and AI infrastructure faster, environmental pressure could increase unless those projects are carefully managed. Think of it like building more houses. The agreement to build houses does not cut down trees. The actual construction might. Same idea. And AI infrastructure adds another challenge: electricity. The IEA estimated data centers used about 1.5% of global electricity in 2024, and projects their electricity use could more than double by 2030. Important, not caused by Pax Silica alone. AI and digital services were already growing rapidly. Pax Silica could simply make building some of that infrastructure easier. So if most of the world joins, one giant question becomes, can countries build more technology without trashing the places supplying its resources? That may be one of the most important questions in the entire story. But could it also help the environment? Possibly. Because international cooperation can also make countries coordinate cleaner infrastructure and better environmental standards. Suppose countries agree. New data centers should use more low-carbon electricity. New mines need stronger water protections. Minerals should be recycled. Factories should become more efficient. Sensitive habitats should be avoided. Then, global cooperation could potentially spread better practices. The IEA specifically recommends stronger management of water, biodiversity, emissions, and communities as critical mineral supply chains expand. And the IEA expects renewables to supply a large portion of additional electricity needed by expanding data centers, although natural gas, nuclear, and other sources will also play roles. So Pax Silica becoming worldwide would not automatically be good for nature or bad for nature. The real answer is annoyingly responsible. It depends how countries build it. Yeah. Nature also read the terms and conditions. Does the world become dependent on Pax Silica? Here's a weird possibility. Pax Silica was created partly because countries worried about depending too heavily on concentrated supply chains. But what happens if almost everyone joins? Pax Silica could stop feeling like a special club and start feeling like the normal way the global technology economy works. Then another question appears. Who decides the rules? Which technology is considered trusted? What environmental standards should apply? How is sensitive technology shared? How do poorer countries get a fair chance? Who gets the expensive factories? And who just sells raw materials? These questions would become more important as membership grows. Because coordinating 5 friends is easy. Coordinating most of Earth? Good luck choosing the group chat name. So, what happens if Pax Silica eventually includes most of the world? The simplest answer? The global technology industry could start operating more like one enormous team with lots of backup players. That could make technology supply chains harder to break. It could spread investment and jobs. It could help more countries enter the AI and semiconductor economy. But it could also mean more mines, factories, data centers, electricity demand, and pressure on ecosystems if growth is handled badly. So Pax Silica becoming global would not automatically create a technology paradise, and it would not automatically create an environmental nightmare. It would create something much more complicated. A world where countries depend on each other even more to build the technology everyone uses. Which leads to the real question: can most of the world cooperate on technology without simply creating a brand new set of problems? If almost every country eventually joined Pax Silica, what do you think would change the most? Technology prices, jobs, global cooperation, or the environment?